Hello, and welcome to the Seeking Heaven channel. I'm your host, Tamara Caulder Richardson, an Evidential Medium, as well as Christ Channeler, and a multiple near-death experiencer, as well as spiritually transformative experiencer. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel, share, make comments, and also like and hit the bell. Make sure that you get all the episodes and you don't miss anything, because you don't want to miss anything, because I try to get top quality spiritual guests for you. And it's important that you have the best. And today we do. So I want to tell you a little bit about our guest today. If you haven't seen our guest in episode 1, there's an episode 1 and 3. Please do check it out. But our guest today that I want to talk about before I bring them on is Waxela Sananda. Now, oh my gosh, she is so fascinating. She has also, please subscribe to her channel. She also has a channel which is the Alchemy of Ascension YouTube channel. So subscribe to that. You'll see the links below, as well as she has a summit that I'm going to be in. She's going to tell us about that. So she is a Galactic Shaman, as well as an Embodied Ascension trainer and a conscious life mentor, as well as an activator of your spiritual gifts, an author. And again, like I said, she also has a YouTube channel, a summit. She's going to tell you all about it. And today we are going to talk about her memories of being an ultra terrestrial as well as a water or aquatic being.
Yay.
Welcome back.
Thank you, Tamara. So happy to be back. Can I make a quick correction? My YouTube channel is just my name, Waxela Sananda. If you can spell it, you can find it. My summit series and podcast is The Alchemy of Ascension.
Got it. Okay, good. Okay, thank you for that correction. Okay, great. And all the links are below. So, welcome back. If you haven't seen the first episode we did, that was really fascinating about your spiritual journey, your cosmic spiritual journey. But today we're going to talk a lot about the Sirian memories that you have, which I have too. So I'm so excited about that. So wherever you want to start with your memories and about being on other planets, and I have them too. So I'm so excited. Hopefully it'll trigger people in a good way to remember their solar system, their cosmic background, where they're from.
Yeah, so it's so much fun to explore our galactic origins. And so this is really in the realm of galactic origins. The one thing I want everyone to know is that we are so multidimensional. So usually what happens with starseeds is that you'll start to remember, you might have some memories. My nearest memories are from the planet Sirius B. So that is a water world. And yet I also have galactic memories from many other places, from Andromeda, a lot of strong Andromedan memories, Lyran, Arcturian, Pleiadian, lots of others, but you will usually first remember the one that's closest in your timelines. And maybe there are other parts of yourself there right now. So that makes it easier to remember. So don't get stuck on, I'm just this or just that, because you're all of it, and as those memories start to open up, you get to have fun, like playing and remembering. So maybe some of what I share today will trigger memories for you.
Can I ask you something really quick?
Yeah.
So for people that are watching, I wanted you to clarify and define starseed as you see that. And also, I really like what you said. We're from many, many, many places, but it's just like you have favorites. Like, you have all these colors. You might like lots of colors, but you might gravitate toward blue or red. So I think that's why people gravitate toward Pleiadian, or maybe they have fond memories there, or whatever that may be. But I love how you mentioned that we're all of these things and more.
Yeah, absolutely. So Starseed is someone that came from the galactic, the cosmos, has galactic origins, who answered a call to be here on planet Earth at this time for this ascension journey that we are on. And that means the Earth is ascending. It put out a call. The Earth's like, hey, I need some frequency help, because I got some low frequency humans walking around, and I I need to upgrade my frequency. Who out there in the higher dimensions would like to come and help me with this ascension process? And many, 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 many starseeds answered the call. Many higher dimensionals, many walk-ins, many beings of light came into, we lowered our frequency to come into a human incarnation and assist in whatever way. So for many people, it's just by being present on the earth at this time. For some people, we have a powerful mission. Tamara, you and I, we've got the mission to be in front of people and sharing this information, but not everybody needs to do that. There's so many starseeds that become light workers that, know that they have work to do. However, some starseeds are frequency holders. Lucky you guys, because you just get to be here and do whatever you want. And you are raising the frequency of the place just by being. So if that's you, then great that you came. We appreciate you, and your mission is just as valuable no matter what your mission is while you're here. So the starseeds are those of us who answered the call, who are here for this ascension process and the way that it plays out for us individually is in many, many, many different ways. And so my first memories of like really strong starseed memories are from Sirius B. And I was doing lots of psychic readings for lots of different people way back. We're talking a long time ago now. But I really remember when I first got the memories, because I was doing a reading for somebody else. And I was like, oh, wow. I tuned in and I saw where she was from. And I'm like, oh, you're from a water world. You were a whale. And oh, that's why you're feeling so like you feel so inundated here. Earth is such a dense place for you because where you were from, the energy was lighter. Even though you were in water, it was like liquid crystal plasma, and it was so smooth and easy. And even though you had this massive body as a whale, you would just glide effortlessly through the water, and communication was sound and frequency and vibration and telepathic, and you could communicate with your eyes, and it was so easy to be known and understood by your pod. And then I started remembering more as I'm sharing. I'm like, oh, and the atmosphere was purple, and there was like the water seemed purple because there was like this purple glow from the atmosphere, just like our water here seems blue because our atmosphere is blue. And then the more I dug into those memories, I'm, oh, and I was there too.
I mean, you're like making me tear up because I miss it. I'm seeing it as you're speaking. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. And so we took so many forms there. And I really think all of the forms that I remember, I have been many of the aquatic beings that we have here, dolphins, whales, sea turtles, lots of the different types of sea creatures. We were just talking about like even the jellyfish and the starfish and the seahorses, and so many of them. There's actually a portal between the Earth and Sirius B where they can come in interdimensionally. Dolphins can come and go. Whales can come and go through that portal with their higher dimensional higher frequency bodies. So they kind of, it's like, galactic travel, where you raise your frequency to a certain point and then you can travel interdimensionally. Humans can do this too. It's just that most of us are not operating at that level, but we absolutely can as we step more in and ascend our frequency more and more. We are able to do this too, but dolphins do it easily. Whales can do it. Many of the sea creatures can do it. It's like they can just come and go at will. And even my daughter came through a portal, one of those dolphin portals through Hawaii, which is also part of ancient Lemuria. When she came in, it was really beautiful. So another type of being that we have that's from Sirius B is the mer life, mermaids, mermen, the whole mer world is very alive and real. And so I think this is why so many people feel so connected to the mermaids and mer people, and just feel like this heart energy. Like, I remember that. The cool thing is they're also here. Like, they are also here. However, they're living in a higher frequency. So, you know how you'll hear these stories about sailors, especially like when they've been out for a long time, or maybe when they were like getting low on vitamin C and they're like starting to get in between worlds. They're getting out of their normal 3D rational way of thinking because they're in, you know, they're like away from the land, they're on the water. They start to move into an altered state, an expanded state of consciousness. And suddenly they can see the mermaids and the mer people. And that's not an accident. It's a shift of consciousness that makes it possible for them to see that. That still happens to people now. I had a client who I was telling stories about Sirius and mer life. And she's like, oh my gosh, when I was a little girl, they would call to me, and she was at the ocean with her mom and maybe her grandma or aunts or something. And she heard them, the sirens were calling because they have a frequency. This is how they speak. They're not trying to lure people to their death. They're calling to their people. And they're like, you know, it's a frequency. They open portals. But what happens sometimes is people are drawn to it. So as a little girl, she was walking into the water to join them because she saw them and they were calling her, and she just wanted to go see them. And then her mom, you know, pulled her out. She's like, oh, she would have drowned, you know. But it's not nefarious. They're not trying to hurt anyone. Their frequency is one that people can recognize. And when you tune into it and hear it and recognize it, it's delicious. You know, you want to go join it. So some people do end up jumping in, or, you know, kind of maybe falling in some cases because they're so drawn to it. But I don't believe that is a negative intention at all. I think it's just a frequency alignment where people are like, memories start to flood in. So that's another, you know, the mer life was so rich, is so rich. It's happening now as we speak, but they're also all of the structures there. We had underwater structures. I'm saying this in the past because my memory is in the past, but it's also present. Time is simultaneous. But all of the structures are crystalline and they are alive. They're conscious. So they can communicate. Let's say we're, as a mer being, swimming in, or even a dolphin or whale, swimming into a crystalline castle or crystalline structure. You're going to pick up the information that structure contains. You're in conscious communication with everything, with the essence of, you know, it's like the ocean, but it's actually a different material than our water. It's water-like, but it's liquid crystal plasma, which is the creation energy in the higher dimensions.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we go in and communicate with everything's conscious and everything's telepathic. We don't need to say words with our mouths because we're interacting and sending and receiving that information all the time. And I was another type of being. This is kind of fun. For many, many eons of time, I was a light courier. Like, I was light codes in the water. My job was to go to various places, structures, wherever my mission was to go, to pick up information in light, encoded information in light, and then take it. Let's say a sea turtle needed some information. I would bring it to the sea turtle or the whale or the dolphin or another mer village or whatever. I would send that information. I was like a living rainbow when I think of, like, I was light, and I wasn't bound to the water. I wasn't bound to I could go anywhere because I was light. I had very minimal physical, you know, it was photons of light, minimal physical form, but I still had form. I think of it like kind of swirly light. I could make any shape I wanted. I could even I could mimic the sea beings if I wanted to, you know, like look like anything at all, look like an angel if I wanted, but mostly I was just light. And sometimes I picked up colors. Sometimes I was just white light. So I have excuse me, very fond memories of being a light codes in the water. And I also feel like when I remembered that, I'm able now to channel that part of myself again as light codes through frequency. So when I'm sharing or giving transmissions or even telling stories like this, I'm also sending these light codes to activate other people's memories, whoever's listening, to activate something in you that might remember parts of your galactic lineage.
Yes.
I'll let you comment.
And I think also that, when you're talking about the etheric body or not having a body or the light form, many people might not think that you could have that like even currently now under the ocean at these higher levels, but whether it be in the galaxy or wherever it is, we are very fixated on where, and where is changeable. And it also is not the where in our 3D world that we're used to being a part of too. So it might even change the way people look at lights. I'll see different lights across my wall at night, different streaks, and I know them to be beings. But they're light beings. They're not like beings that look like us. So I think this is beautiful. And also defining about star people and about waking up to who they really are. One of the things, and I think it's helpful for people to hear these things so they can also wake up. But one of the things that I noticed, even when you were talking about being a starseed, I think there's certain things that are clues to people being a starseed. For example, not always feeling like you fit in here. That like, oh, let me figure this out. This is a little difficult here. Let me, like simple things other people get. You're like, now we have to do what? And people lie, and you got to put on these clothes.
Yeah.
And so, but go ahead.
I was going to say, especially coming from the higher realms, if you were a light being, it can feel so heavy. It can be so dense in these bodies, and it can be kind of frustrating. The early starseeds, I know a lot of the early starseeds opted out early. They would take their own lives because it was just so dense and they had such a hard time. Now we have the good fortune of being here at a time where Earth's frequency has risen significantly because we are in the ascension. It's much easier to be here now, but that doesn't mean, I don't expect it to be easy for everybody. And certainly if you haven't been doing ascension work much yet, then in the beginning, it can feel a little heavy, still a little dense. You might have feelings of missing your home planet where it was much lighter and more flowy, and we didn't have to use words, and it was just so smooth. But I like to look at this as a game, and it's the game of playing human life on Earth, and it can be a lot of fun. And would this be a good segue into Ascension, like what embodied Ascension is?
I think so, because I would, there's so many various forms that we can speak about, but I think it's about where we are now and Ascension and who we truly are, and that we're so much more than just these bodies. The more people that I talk to and the more that I've been around, honestly, do you really think any of us are from Earth?
The original humans, or I will say our original DNA had 48 strands. And so we were like super beings, and what's happened over time, we have had many iterations of humanity. There have been many extinction events. The Earth experience is much, if we think of it in a timeline, it's been around a long time. We've had a lot of experience here, but there have been iterations of the human that were very, very conscious and connected, and then we kind of descended to these denser beings that don't have as many active strands of DNA, and now we're going back up the ascension ladder, where we're reactivating those strands of DNA, which are the information, the Stargate portals, and the threads that connect us to our multidimensional abilities, and if you want to call them superpowers. So as we do this work, we are activating ourselves, and we have been all of those things, and we are becoming multidimensional again in our physical human bodies. That's embodied ascension.
Oh, wow. That was a mouthful and it was perfect. That's absolutely perfect. And also superpowers. It's funny you're saying that because I'm doing a whole series on superheroes and superpowers because that's my sense of humor. But basically, this is our natural. You're talking about being psychic. If you look at a lot of the people that are starseeds, they're either healers, psychics. They do some they're telepathic. They do, Akashic record work, whatever it is, channel. It's because that's our natural ability and these higher levels. That's kind of who we are. And
Yeah.
it's something that we shouldn't fear, but embrace because we all are walking little portals. We can just decide what frequency we want to connect to. And of course, I always say I connect my portal to 111 God and keep it clean, keep your portals clean, and it's all good. But that is our natural state. And I think that somehow in this world, for lack of a better word, dogma set in and made some of these things fearful or bad for some reason to lower people's superpowers. And I say, embrace your superpower as long as you stay connected to the highest divine, higher source of you and the creator. It's all good. That's who we're supposed to be.
Yeah, and we are remembering that all the time. And as we, this is our opportunity while the earth is moving up in frequency, we are also offered the opportunity to ascend at the same time. And the energy is so perfect for it. So people that are feeling like, I really need to do something, there's something that I need to work on. This is when it's really great to do your personal work because your personal work is not just for you. It's for all of humanity. It's for everybody. And as we get into our bodies more, a lot of spiritual people have that, the name woo woo, that airy fairy term. That is when people who are using spirituality to not be fully in their body, they're hanging out here, hanging out outside of the body, not being in it, anchoring the divine presence. What happens is it can be really uncomfortable in here. We have our physical bodies accumulate trauma, not just from our childhood in this lifetime, but from all of our lifetimes. We as a soul collective can bring in patterns of things that have happened like through our galactic lifetimes, through our multidimensional lifetimes to be cleared. And this is the gift that we have in being human, but we can only clear it if we get into the body. So this is our time to courageously get into the body and start to release and clear the density that has accumulated. And as we do that, as we clear this density out, it gets more and more fun to be embodied, more and more fun to be in, the human experience. And as we let that stuff go, we're actually activating our DNA. We're activating our superpowers. We're activating our ability to turn back on and remember where we came from and where we've been and why we're here. And so it's a difficult process sometimes in the beginning, especially. It takes courage. It takes tenacity. And it's so worth it because it gets to be really, really fun. Once you get the hang of it, it's like, oh, I'm so glad this challenge came up. I'm so glad I caught myself being upset by something because now I can shift that. Now I can see what was previously behind me and subconscious. Like we can't see what's behind us. That's our subconscious, right? But when we become aware of our thoughts, become aware of our triggers, become aware of what's upsetting us, we see it and then we bring it in front of us, we look at it, we can work with it when we know it exists. Now it's not subconscious anymore. That's when we can shift things and move into a higher frequency and clear that density out. And that gets to be a lot of fun.
No, I agree. And we had talked about this earlier, I think pre-show, that we were saying that really anyone that's on a spiritual journey is really committed to investing in yourself. I mean, I can't tell you how much time, hours, years, money that I've spent on myself over the year, reading books, just to really work through whatever it is that I need to work through. And that's not always easy, but it's tremendously rewarding. It's something you take with you forever. But as you heal yourself and whatever part of that needs looking at, attention after, and once you see it and it's released, your energy goes up, which means everyone around you, there's a ripple effect. Their energy goes up. It's like being around a negative person, you pick that negativity up. Well, now here's someone that's working on themselves. They're freeing their triggers, whatever that is that's not serving them. Now they're more aware. They're now more aware, ready to receive more from the universe. This is an effect on everybody else. Everybody wins when you work on yourself. And that's part of what you're doing this conference for, this summit. Tell us about the summit and also your work. You do this to help people clear their energy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with my work because it ties right in, and then I'll go to the summit. So what I do, I've done this work for over 30 years now, starting with when I traveled with the shaman, and I've just continued learning and growing like you have, Tamara. And so in my direct communication with the divine and my personal experience and everything that I've learned, I've basically condensed 30 years of my learning experience and my growing experience into a 6-month course called Embodied Ascension. And so I also have a foundations course for someone that doesn't want to jump in at the 6-month level. It's a 6-hour course, which is much more manageable. And there's a way you can get a discount on that. I can share that later. But it's a process of all of the things that I've mentioned, from clearing your density and getting more in the body and anchoring the divine light into your physical body, repairing your DNA, activating and amplifying, doing that personal work. And then you just naturally start to evolve. And it's this beautiful, beautiful process that I get to share with people. So it's really my heart's delight to be able to share this work. So that's my signature course. That's what I do. I do a lot of other things too, sessions, and of course my podcast and summit series, as well as membership that it's opening soon. But the summit is the Alchemy of Ascension, season 6. And it is about exploring expanded states of consciousness, much like you do here on your show, Tamara. And Tamara's one of the speakers. And so, yeah, everybody is sharing these beautiful expressions of their experience with expanded states of consciousness and how they get there. And just there's so many different ways. And it's so much fun to dive into these conversations. The intention of this series is to build a pathway for the viewers and listeners to listen to all of these talks, and then it will activate something in you. It will expand your awareness, and you will be getting in touch with parts of yourself that are expanded versions of you, expanded states of consciousness. And that's really the intention, to uplift the consciousness of humanity so that we have access to our superpowers and that we get to feel good doing this lifetime here.
Absolutely. Well, look, all the links are below. Please sign up and register so you can be a part of that. And the dates for the summit are August.
It begins September 18th and it runs through October 5th.
That's it. And I think it's great what you're offering people so they can be a part of this, and we can ascend together. So you've just been incredible. If you haven't seen the first part, please see the first part with Waxela's personal cosmic spiritual journey. You've got to hear it. You are just such a blessing to what you're doing and be in this world and the things you're offering others. I thank you so much for your time today. Much love to you, and namaste.
Thank you so much. Namaste.
Please subscribe, like, and make comments, and support this channel by becoming a member. Thank you for your continued support.